everybody, welcome back to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com, and here on my YouTube channel. This video we're going to continue from last video. We're going to mix bass today. So going to be kind of a short one today. Last week we took a look at drums on this mix that I'm working on our first mix on the SSL. This week we're going to take a look and listen to some bass. So why don't we do that? Before we get started, if you like what you see in this video, please consider subscribing and also hit the notification bell so you know when I post new content. Also go out to mixingmusicanalog.com and check out what I have going on over there. So now let's head on over into Studio One and let's take a look at bass. So just to kind of give you some context, if you missed last week's video, you need to go back and watch it, but we started with drums. Here's kind of the track that we're kind of working on here. Let me just play a little bit with everything kind of the loop here. Okay, so that's the kind of the track we're working on. So last week we worked on drums. So we just take a listen to the drums and all of this. So that's kind of our final, if you will, drum sound. So we worked on that last week. Everything is going through the SSL bus compressor here on the console. We're doing kind of about 3 dB of compression. We're using a 2-to-1 ratio, slow attack, auto release. That's what we're doing. And we're also using the SSL Fusion. We talked about that again last week as well. So go check that out. One thing I want to show you this week, just to kind of step back to the drums. We talked a little bit about it last week where we talked about the bus compressor on the drums, which is the NG bus compressor by West Audio. And I showed you over there with the iPhone. I took some footage of the bus compressor so you can see it. Since that time, what I've done is I've also downloaded the West Audio plugins for the NG bus compressor, which actually digitally controls the hardware. And I wanted to show you that quickly because I didn't get a chance to do that for last week's video. So if we pop over here into Studio One, you will see on the input side, these are the stems being printed back into Studio One. So this is my drum group here on the console printing back in. And what I've done is I've inserted this West Audio NG bus compressor. Now, just so you understand, if you don't know about West Audio gear, all their gear is 100% analog, where you can physically go over there and touch the dials like you normally would, and we did that last week, but you can also digitally control it from the plugin. So this interface actually controls the actual hardware. And I'll do a full review on this particular piece of gear in a separate video. But I just wanted to show you this from last week. If you take a look at our drum bus here, so what's great about this West Audio kind of stuff is where it's digitally controlled, is I don't need to leave the sweet spot to go over there and touch the compressor. If I want to bypass it, I can bypass it right here on the plugin, and you can hear, I could hear the actual relays actually switching on and off in the unit. So what we did on the drum bus compressor, we added a little bit of total harmonic distortion. We added the iron circuit, so we're hitting the transformer. And again, we're doing about 3 dB of compression, 2-to-1 ratio here. We're using a fairly slow attack and a really slow attack actually, and a fairly quick release. I can bypass it here. So if you just keep your eye on the plugin here, you'll listen, you'll hear it come in and out of the circuit. Here's with it. Okay, so there's the NG bus compressor. So I just wanted to show that to you. Let's talk about bass. So in this particular song, let me close my inputs here. In this particular song, we have 2 basses here, a bass DI and a bass amp, both of which are going down to our bass group track, much like I did with our kick. And we have 1 fader coming out on the board here for bass. So I used audible line on our bass track here to make sure that we were phased. They were in phase, and they weren't in phase. We corrected it 126 samples. And then we're coming down to our bass group, and just like last week, we're using our Plug-in Alliance SSL bus compressor to do all the heavy lifting for the compression, which is really not a lot. Just a few dB of compression, just to kind of squeeze it a little bit. We're not using anything else on this plugin. The EQ and everything will be done from the console, so we can adjust the parameters by using our UF8 here by S Solid State Logic, the surface control. I got them pre-mapped here, so all the controls are here. So if we play this back, we're going to use, we're going to adjust the compressor parameters here. So okay, so on this setting on the compressor, we're using about a 4:1 ratio, fast release, medium fast release, fast attack on this to catch some of those transients. And we're doing about 3 dB of compression or so, all controlled right from the UF8. That now is coming out to the board, and we're going to use the EQ on that. We're going to kind of dial in a little bit. And then on our bus compressor, our bass bus compressor, we have the LA2A by Audioscape, the opto compressor, which we'll talk about in a second. So let's dial in a little EQ here and see what we have. So I have a little bit of bottom end here at around 100 hertz, just a couple of dB to give it a little bit of thickness on the bottom. It already sounds pretty bottom heavy, so I don't want to go crazy. And then around, let's see, we're looking at about 800, doing a little bit at 800 to bring out a little bit more of the top end of this. And that's really about it. Sounds pretty good. Now let's put it in the context with the drums and let's see what we have. So right around 2K, I'm adding a little bit more. I just added a little bit of 2K here, about maybe 4 dB or so, just to get it to cut through a little bit so it cuts out above the drums a little and some of those tom fills. So I could take the EQ in and out here with this button here. So we'll start with an in, I'll take it out, and then I'll put it back in. Here's with it in. Sounds great. Okay, so now we're going over to the LA2A, and we got about dialed in here about 6 dB of compression or so on the LA2A. The image will probably pop up on the screen here, and then that's really it for our bass guitar. So let's take a look at what our LA2A is doing. So we do about 5 to 7 dB of compression. Sounds really good, squeezes it really nice, makes it nice and thick. Love the opto compressor, the LA2A opto on bass. And that's really it. The only other thing that I don't even think this track needs so much, let's listen to it when the guitars kind of come in. But if you want to maybe add a little bit of distortion to one of the tracks here in the DAW, let's take a listen to that. Sometimes it's nice to put a little bit of distortion on the DI track. Let's try that and see if that really helps. I think we got enough crispiness on it. We have enough top end with the EQ, but just to see what that will do, will that help us at all? We could just use the old red light distortion by PreSonus. I also have some Universal Audio stuff, but let's try putting this on the DI track and let's see what that does for us. Let me solo clear everything here. Let's just see how that helps us or not. Really nice. It adds a little bit of crispiness, and then I could change the blend a little bit between the DI track and the amp track in the box that's going out to that group track. Let's just make sure it's not really affecting our LA2A all that much, our opto compressor. Sounds really good, man. So it's that easy. A little bit of distortion, a little bit of blend between the DI and the bass amp, a little bit of compression on the channel strip on the in the box here on the SSL. And that's it. Nice little blend, little opto compressor, and that's our bass. Sounds great in with the drums, sounds great with the rest of the tracks, and the rest of the tracks aren't even mixed yet. So in the next video, we'll take a look at some acoustic guitars, electric guitars, and we'll start working our way through this mix. So I hope you enjoyed this quick little demonstration, quick and easy this time. Easy working with bass, really a lot of fun, dialing it in with some EQ and getting it to sit nice, and it sounds great through that opto compressor. Really, really nice, and hopefully you enjoyed looking at the NG bus compressor plugin that controls the drum bus compressor. That Wes Audio NG bus compressor or stereo compressor is fantastic. I highly recommend you check that out. If you are in the market for a stereo bus compressor, you can use it on your master bus, on drums, you can use it on anything, and it just sounds something that no other plugin I've ever heard quite sounds like. It's really unique sounding. You may want to check that out. The link will be in the description box below. So please let me know in the comments section how you like the opto compressor by Audioscape and what you think of the Wes Audio bus compressor. And if there's any other ideas that you have for videos, let me know in the comments below. And until the next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and MixingMusicAnalog.com, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.